responsibility of managing the
Yeah, it
student
is.
activity accounts, would work with the town's designated bank and set up the banks are generally in the practice of allowing us free checking accounts for 501c3 nonprofit organizations such as this. And the vice principal would be responsible to work with the treasurer of the class and have the money deposited in an account.
But the point I'm getting at here, Carl, and this I know you're not responsible for this rule here, this law. I don't think the town treasurer has anything to do with the numerous clubs and activities that are raising money that are almost outside of the scope of this. And you're saying that's administrative and operational, which I understand. But what I'm saying is there's no policy at all to cover that. There's no policy that covers money that comes into clubs and.
That's going to be part of the student handbook, right, or something like that, that they can create a policy?
And again, Mel, my big deal isn't with the town treasurer having the oversight. It's basically the rules or the policies as to which they can collect money, hold money, and disperse money. I mean, that's another whole issue, I think, in this.
Typically, do policies provide specific procedural and management directives?
Well,
typically not.
I'm not saying specific. I'm saying that shouldn't there be an overall policy that governs those groups outside of the class of 2014? What I'm reading it here is the town treasurer is involved with like the class of each year, those accounts. That's probably basically it. Correct?
You know, what we could do, if you perhaps we need some further research with the high school principal and assistant principal to understand whether there are, within the high school club structure, whether there are written procedures for the collection and management of cash within the club structure. I apologize to the committee for not knowing whether they have that.
Not only do I
Yeah.
think that this is going to be a little bit more complicated and complex, I think it's going to be hard to get your hands around it even when we
I
fully
agree.
understand it. I think it's one of those areas that just almost through practice, that this has become institutionalized in the way that these clubs work and these activities work. They collect money, they disperse the money. In most cases, there's probably not a lot of money left over, and at some point the money's just sitting there in an account. But it is something where, it may require, I know for one thing, that the Maskers account is an account that has a significant amount of money in it. And that account is, I'm curious, who has the authority to disperse money from that particular account? Is it the advisor? Is it the officers of the Maskers?
I believe.
paragraph.
I'm sorry, Cliff. Go
The
ahead.
first paragraph of this policy is pretty explicit as to what it's saying. It says that the funds are considered a part of the total fiscal operation of the district and subject to the policies established by the committee and the superintendent.
Yeah, we don't have it.
No.
And it sounds like we have them, but they're not quite as tight as we all anticipated.
Again, I think this is an area that needs to have a close look taken at it as to the procedure, the policies, and the dispersal of these funds at some point in time when the accounts are closed or there's no longer any activity.
It may very well be that these are handled very nicely.
They may be.
At the administration of the high school level. Or the
and you know what?
administration
Not only may they be, they probably are.
Yeah.
But I think we need to get our hands around that and reduce it to at least some form of writing.
It's a lot. If you look at all the clubs, it can be a lot of money. And I just think we need to make sure that, operationally, and maybe it would be good to have John and AJ come in and explain to us how they handle all these different clubs.
And if they explain to us how they do it, then we incorporate that into some kind of a policy.
Well, and the other thing that confused me, and I think Carl's cleared this up, is the town treasurer is really only involved with certain accounts, correct? The town treasurer is not involved with all the different clubs that are collecting money for different,
Well, define involved.
what it says in here, the student activity agency accounts.
Yes.
Those really are only the 4 class accounts, right? Class of 2000, the 4 classes that are in the high school at any certain time.
Well, in practice, the town treasurer, as I understand it in North Reading and in all municipalities, is the authority that approves the disbursement of student activities. That authority, that's the only, well, there's different kinds of authority. The treasurer always has the authority to disperse checks, just like on the warrants that we see here. But in this case, the town treasurer also has the disapproval authority when it comes to student activities.
But see, I'm having a problem with the
And
word.
she exercises it too.
The word student activities. I don't know what that refers to.
And just for clarification, we have a policy regarding student activity funds. The whole purpose of this coming forward was the issue of what do you do with funds that are left over
Right.
or accounts that have money in them. That was the
Correct.
purpose. In dealing with that, we now see an underlying issue here that needs to be dealt with, and that's how do we establish control, or what policies do we have for the use of these funds in the first place? And what are the checks and balances? Are there any internal controls, or is it simply one person? I'm not even sure from reading this whether it's the officers of the organization, the club, or whether it's not the advisor or somebody else that has the authority to disperse funds.
I have to say, the committee, I have a lot of confidence that the controls are strong.
Yeah.
I know for a fact that all invoices that come through the business office are signed by the club advisor, which is a faculty person who's appointed by the superintendent. There's oversight by the vice principal and the principal of the high school before it even gets to the business
Well,
office.
and that's good, and I believe that to be true. It's just the matter of this policy needs to be cleaned up then.
I think it's more a matter of our becoming educated
Yes.
in what's
And
happening.
getting it down in writing. I think if we find out what's happening and we put it on paper, it'll make sense to us. So
And I-
again, I think that we might want to send DK back to the policy subcommittee and give that a priority along with the prior policy there.
I do
DJEJ.
continue to have that question, though, that I don't understand, that class accounts are established to benefit students currently enrolled in the school system, okay?
Yeah.
So they're collecting money with the goal of spending that money for the class while they're in school.
I think that's generally true. I mean, I think in
Right.
most cases that's
So
true.
if the money's left over,
Yeah.
in my opinion, it should stay with the school, not go to a bank account outside the school.
Well, they should have a party at the end of the year. I
Or
mean,
something.
Yeah, something.
That's good seed money for reunions.
Yeah.
Can I just throw this out there again?
Go ahead.
I still think this policy is way outside the purview of policy. I think there's a strict school committee function to provide context and policy and understand the environment, provide a structure by which the district then administers management and operations, and we have nothing to do with that. So I don't think we need to add that in here, but I do think our policy needs to have very clear authorization and parameters for operating student accounts, and how we expect that money who it belongs to, and how it's to be, to come back to us if it's enacted. Those are, to me, policies, not the actual procedures or protocols associated. So I just want to that's the only thing that I'm concerned about in the policy. I think there's a lot of unanswered questions about what we can and cannot do. But I just want to make sure that we're very clear that this is a policy and not a procedure. Because
No,
that's, to me, the purpose for the high school handbook. And
No, sometimes there's a fine line between a policy
Right.
and a procedure, and you have to make that distinction. But I do think we need to get more information, and I think, again, it should go back to the policy subcommittee.
Okay.
Any objections, we'll table that for that?
Nope.
Because when I saw this too, I just had a lot of questions about it. And I think Kyle's right. I think there's a very good set of,
Yeah, I'm sure
there's a
that-
very good protocol in place. We just have to find out what it is.
I think it might be applied differently to different, by different clubs and
Mhm.
organizations, and we'd like to have one
Well, it's
consistent.
theoretically, it should be under the oversight of the principals too. There's only one thing I like more than policies, and that's goals. We do goals.
Oh, you like strategic vision. I know you.
Go ahead.
I would like us to have a motion here to put reviewed on all of the remaining policies in this section D.
Oh, okay.
So that we clear those and get those moved aside.
Off the table.
Make a motion to approve all of the other reviewed policies in section D, other than the amended and the ones we tabled
The
tonight.
ones we tabled.
So you're talking about the ones that are currently there that we
Yeah, that
didn't
they
review?
reviewed them, so I think we should put a notation that they are reviewed in,
The ones that
March
we're
and February
revising will be
2012.
revised, but the others
Oh, I
are
see
just
what
a
you're saying.
notation at the bottom of
I see what you're
they've been
saying, I'm not
reviewed.
sure it's necessary, because,
but if we
It
wanna put
is.
that notation in there that it was,
okay,
they were
reviewed,
reviewed.
okay, all right.
We have to, maybe we don't have to make a motion.
I don't.
What we've done in the past,
Go ahead, who are you?
yeah,
Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
is they've made changes.
Yeah.
Basically on his and hers and that, so we've done a blanket to accept all of the revisions.
Yeah, but we're talking here now, instead of, I noticed on a lot of these, instead of approved or revised, it's just reviewed, and I think it is
Reviewed.
important that we put
So
down,
none of them were revised.
put down a notation that they were
The
reviewed.
majority of the section we haven't changed. We have reviewed it.
So how about if I make a motion that we,
Reviewed all of them.
that
don't
we
think we need a
make a
motion.
notation,
Think we need a motion?
I don't know, that's what I'm saying, do
I
we?
don't think we need a motion.
But
I think
shouldn't it
we
be
just
on
put
the
it on there.
policy? Yeah, put it on the policy that
We actually did
we
review
reviewed.
it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
matter
let's
of
do that.
public
Let's
record.
insert on the policies that they were reviewed on this date. If they were revised, we'll put a revision. If they
Right.
were amended, we'll put an amendment. But otherwise,
Great.
put it reviewed on such and such a date.
So that gives future committees, they know the last
That it
time
was looked
they
at.
looked at.
Okay? All right, good. All right, next on the agenda, we have a couple of requests for overnight trips.
You cut our
Another
whole
section,
Oh,
Jerry.
shh.
Yeah, you're not done yet.
God.
There's only two of them.
And I've got complaints on all, no.
All right, this is the
There are only changes in the
business management. We have, oh, this is easy. We have ECF, energy conservation. The only change, unless anybody objects, is to change the words business manager, director of finance and operations. Hurry, do we have a motion?
I make a motion
Second.
to.
Okay,
I
we have
can't
a
even
motion
say
by
the motion.
Karen, and we have a second by Mel for first reading for ECF. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, none. And EDAA, use of school vehicles. Don't read it, there's only one small change from business manager, to director of finance and operation. We have a motion?
Yep.
Motion by Karen.
Second.
Second by Mel. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, none, okay.
We'll change the
And
review
all of
status.
the
And
again- all the other
remaining
ones-
sections that we've reviewed.
According to the policy subcommittee, all of E's been reviewed, so that'll be duly noted.
That was fun. I really enjoyed that.
Okay, now we're gonna go to the high school overnight
Easy
trip
for you to
requests, and
say.
we have a couple. The first request is from Coach Carey, requesting approval of an overnight trip to South Yarmouth for the varsity baseball team to participate in the Ebbett Memorial Invitational on Friday, April 1st, and Saturday, April 2nd. They've been going on this trip for 25 years,
I have different dates than you.
in the athletic, really?
I have Friday, March 30th and Saturday, March 31st.
No, that's a different request.
That's the,
Am I looking at the right one?
That's Frank Carey, it says.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Show you.
We have the dates. You got his letter there,
Are you
Mel?
talking about baseball? Yeah, it
Yeah.
says March 30th.
Okay, I'm
and
just
March
going by the
31st.
agenda.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. March 30th, 31st, two-day trip, and again, they've been going on this trip for 25 years. The athletic director is requesting approval. The trip is, again, for the 30th and the 31st. Kathy, do you have a recommendation on this?
I do recommend that the committee approves.
Okay. And anybody got any further comments on that?
I'll make a motion to approve the
Okay.
varsity baseball trip to Yarmouth.
Motion by Karen, second by Mel. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none. Motion carries by a vote of 5-0. The second request is from the boys varsity hockey team, and they're going to an overnight tournament in Sandwich, Mass. on Monday, February 20th. They're going to play on the 20th and again on the 21st. They're going to be traveling to that tournament with their parents, and they're going to stay with their parents at the Sandwich Lodge. Kathy, do you have a recommendation on that?
Superintendent recommends that the school committee approve.
I I'd like to recommend that the athletic director get this to us in a more timely fashion in the future, please.